Hello Pokemon trainers, this is GatorEX, and today I'll be doing another discussion about the recent Pokemon Generations episode, as well as inputting a little bit of theorizing into it. Now, the episode that premiered yesterday was called The Vision, and so let me just give a quick little plot rundown. So this episode takes place during the Team Magma or Team Aqua based raid, but however in this version it is Omega Ruby, so it is Magma. We see Brendan and his Sceptile just break in and mowing down a bunch of grunts. We don't exactly get to see like Brendan's face because he's not the main focus. And then it cuts to Maxie, who he's being followed by several of his grunts. He's going to board the submarine and then go on to the seafloor cavern. He meets up with Courtney, and then Courtney's about to go on, but then Maxie stops her and kind of, tells her that she needs to stay behind in order to hold off Brendan so that he can make his way to the seafloor cavern. He boards a submarine, and there's, some exchange between them, and then they exchange some looks. And again, you can definitely tell Courtney really admires Maxie and really serves him very well. Now, I always thought Courtney was really interesting in the games. I didn't think she was an amazing character at all, but I just thought she was really funny and really neat, just really weird and quirky, and we kind of get to see that with her voice here. So, Maxie and his other grunts, as well as his other executive, who I forget the name, they take off in the submarine, and a red light is flashing, and at this point, this is where it gets interesting. Courtney's looking at it, and she's saying something, how she's kind of like feeling, I guess, the excitement or something of the situation, and it zooms into her eye, and she actually has a vision. Now, this is actually pretty interesting, as the vision is of Groudon rising up out of the earth, and then Maxie and the other grunts walk up to Groudon and view it, and then Groudon actually charges up and then unleashes an attack. I don't know what attack. It's probably just like some unnamed attack, maybe Hyper Beam, and then he blows up some of the land. We get a neat close-up of Groudon, some great animation, and then we actually see him fire something at Maxie and the other Magma grunts. Then it cuts back to Courtney, and she's kind of puzzled by it, I guess, because it was a vision. She knows it was a vision. And then, of course, Brendan catches up, and they end up battling, or she ends up, battling to hold him off, to give the other Magma grunts, some time to leave toward the seafloor cavern. And then again, we get to see Courtney being weird and crazy as we know her from the games. So this is an extremely interesting episode. Mostly what is interesting is the vision that she has. That's the main focus of the episode. It is called The Vision after all. I did think it's interesting because Generations, has been, it's been said that these are the untold stories of the game. So for the most part, they are pretty much canon. But, you could argue it's how canon it is again, but for the most part I'm going to be going with this. So the main focus is the vision and how she had that vision. I did think that's really weird. At first, one thing I thought is that, well, maybe it had something to do with, say, Phoebe's grandmother, who is on the top of Mount Pyre. If you remember in the games in Mount Pyre, Maxie and Courtney went there to go ahead and retrieve the orb in an attempt to control Groudon. There's a little confrontation there. Maxie leaves and Courtney holds you off. So obviously Phoebe's grandmother, being the guardian of the orbs and having some sort of ghostly powers, some sort of supernatural powers, as we've seen, other trainers who have that ability, especially with Phoebe herself, being able to, I guess, see and communicate with ghosts. Maybe in a way Courtney received the vision from Phoebe's grandmother, because Phoebe's grandmother at least knows who Courtney is. So that is one possibility. The more that I got thinking about trainers with supernatural abilities, I remember that there's actually another one, the Hex Maniac. Now, the Hex Maniac was originally introduced in Generation 3 with Ruby and Sapphire, and then reintroduced with Generation 6 in XY, and then comes back in Ruby and Sapphire. Now, the Hex Maniacs do look extremely weird and crazy, kind of like, I don't want to say psychotic, but to a degree, yes. And I don't want to say that Courtney is as well, but she definitely is weird. There's something not right with her in her mind, I would say. So it could be entirely possible that Courtney was a Hex Maniac before a member of Team Magma. We've seen that, different trainers can be, or different things before they join Team Magma, obviously. I mean, with Zinnia being a Draconid and living her life as that before joining Team Magma, but obviously, she joined in order for different reasons, but my point remains that maybe Courtney was a Hex Maniac beforehand. Now, obviously, you can say, oh, there aren't a lot of visual similarities, and that I'll agree with, but then again, well, why does every trainer have to look the same? You know, every trainer of every trainer class. They have, at the very least, they both have purple hair, even though it's a different shade of purple. At the very least, there's that similarity there. So on top of that, I did do some research into Hex Maniacs, and I discovered, well, they don't really just use Ghost-type Pokemon. A lot of them use some Psychic-type Pokemon. So I found this list of different Hex Maniacs in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and the list of Pokemon that they have, and very interestingly enough, one of them owns a Xatu. Now, we know about Xatu. Its Pokedex entry states that it stands still in fear of terrible things it has foreseen in the future. So, terrible things it has foreseen in the future, otherwise known as visions. So, there's some connection there. What if Courtney used to be a Hex Maniac and owned a Xatu? Maybe then this Xatu could be relaying this vision to her in this moment right now of terrible things that could happen in the future, of how Groudon is uncontrollable and how Groudon is going to pretty much destroy the Hoenn region unless, you know, Brendan ends up stopping Groudon, which, you know, he does. Saves the day and everything. Really, that's where the speculation ends for today. I mean, I had always been interested in Courtney because I knew there wasn't something right with her, or that something was different about her. And I've really not seen many other people talk about it, except for this video by the Dex for some reason, where they talk about her being a robot. Oh, I don't know. Well, I think that's been debunked, at least because robots cannot have visions. I hope not. Anyway, that's been it for this episode of Pokemon Generations discussion. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. People, I've gotten a few suggestions to do Generations discussion, like a discussion with every new episode. I don't know if I will. I think I only will if I have something interesting to say about it, if I have something to say about, you know, as far as theorizing goes. The last one I talked about is because it actually disproved or debunked a popular Pokemon theory, and then I talked about this one because it opened up the doors for some theorization, or at least added to it, and gave us a little bit more evidence to possibly speculate something. I don't know if I'll continue talking about it, but at the very least I know that Generations are, again, the untold stories of the game, so it does give some good new information with each new episode, so I'll see where it goes. I feel like I'll do a discussion on it if it's something very significant to the games, to some plot, or to a theory. Let me know what you thought of this one down below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think Courtney used to be a Hex Maniac? Do you think she's really weird, or worst of all, do you think she's a robot for some reason? Also, remember to subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I also want to remind you to hit the notifications button. You'll be notified every time I upload, because I know there have been some problems with YouTube's notification system, so yeah, this will be a good way to be able to see each new video as it comes out. I've done this for a few YouTubers that I really want to make sure I see their videos as they come out, so yeah, it's something very, very useful that you can do. Anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.